So why is it, when it comes to politics and religion, we're not to talk about it? Do you suppose that could be saying not to confuse anyone with facts? Well, you probably know one of the toughest things for any of us to face is reality, especially if the evidence and common sense is against what we've believed most of our lives. Although, with my claim of evidence and common sense, my goal is not to draw you away from your group, but to have you take what I have to share back to those you care most about. You'll find that my sharing is only meant to enhance your picture of what a loving God has to be like. Did you get that? I mean, did you get the emphasis put on what a loving God has to be like? In fact, it just might be what the atheists and skeptics of the world have been waiting for. A picture of God that makes sense. Something like the thief that was hanging next to Jesus when he thought, if this is what God is like, then count me in. Well, with the world about to flip upside down with craziness, so to speak, isn't it about time that we all took some serious time out to think? I mean, to think about our spiritual side. In fact, shouldn't we be ready for some spiritual straight talk? By the way, I'm Ed Sager, the author in the Rest of the Story series that's found by clicking the links below. You'll soon discover that I'm one that has to know how things work. You know, that 10-year-old kid that took the grandfather clock apart? So what can I say? I even have to know how spiritual things work. It even has to make logical sense, like 2 + 2 = 4, if you know what I mean. So in revealing some info about what you can expect within the Rest of the Story series, I have to say, if you're up to the challenge, there's a shocking spiritual journey ahead that you're not going to want to miss. I assure you, it's going to cause you to think. It could even define if you're wise or foolish. So, if you're into the Bible at all, you may have run across the story that talks about the 5 that were foolish and the 5 that were wise. And in making this short, the foolish thought they had all the info they needed, but the wise had the good sense to take on more info, learning all they could about spiritual things. Of course, the question has to be, which 5 are you going to identify with? So to begin with, here's a thought-provoking biblical fact that many may not have heard before. That rebellion, or the sin problem, began in the heavenly control center and not on earth with Adam and Eve. No, it was God's leading angel, Lucifer, that was found campaigning throughout the universe that God's ways were too hard, that he had a better way of government, which brought God's character into question. This, without a doubt, presents a whole different perspective to what Christians call the plan of salvation. So if you were God with such a controversy over your character, what would you do? How would you go about solving the problem? Well, within this concept is the premise I've stood on for over 30 years of writing, which I call the Great Controversy View. The controversy over the character of God. Ahead, you'll discover that this thought is only the tip of the iceberg as you investigate further into more thought-provoking info within Spiritual Straight Talk, where pastors have said is an awesome view of God. Another valuable comment came from my friend Bill, a true skeptic I might add, said that this concept made more sense than anything he's ever heard of. At any rate, you owe it to yourself to investigate a real eye-opener. So in bringing this to a close, if you have a strong spiritual background, my first recommendation is to read or listen to 76 minutes of the ultimate Rest of the Story. But if not, I recommend beginning with 42 minutes of a reality check or what? You'll discover a shocking fictitious story packed with evidence in revealing a reality beyond the sandbox. You know, the sandbox of life we currently live in? In fact, if you're a Christian with the curves ahead, you may even want to fasten your seatbelt.